Hi guys, it's Mark Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Mark Zicree of Space Command. It's a hot day in Los Angeles, and I'm continuing my series of videos on how to write. And at the same time, we've also got a Kickstarter campaign going. We're going to be shooting more of Space Command. In fact, we were rehearsing with two of our actors yesterday on a really great scene, and we're working on visual effects and sound design and all sorts of stuff. So you can link to our Kickstarter campaign just below this video and send some dollars our way. We're almost up to $70,000, and you know, every little bit helps because we're going to be renting a space to turn back into a studio, building our alien hibernation ship, building creatures. There's all sorts of stuff happening, and you can be part of it. So, and also, of course, subscribe to Mr. Sci-Fi. But now we will talk about how to create great characters. And just if you don't know who I am, go on IMDb, type my name in. I've written for many, many iconic shows and tons of television, and also features and best-selling books. So that's sort of who I am ongoingly. So let's talk about character for a moment, because on my last video I was talking about how television is about characters, and you watch a show because you cue into the people, and someone actually commented that that's not the case for them. They like the puzzle box, they like the twists and turns of plot, they like to be surprised. Well, you know, all of this is true, and we're all going to be watching TV shows and movies and reading books for somewhat different reasons, but at the end of the day, it's all about telling a story that's entertaining and involving, and where the ending doesn't piss us off. So, and we can think of shows recently that have done exactly that to their detriment. So here's the thing about characters. And again, it's fine to have a plot that twists and turns and surprises, but if you set up characters a certain way, if those twists and turns violate their characters, violate who they are, or cheat you as an audience in some way, then you're going to be distanced from the story, distanced from the characters. That's not going to work. Whereas if you are involved in the characters and in their journey and in what they want and all of that, it will work. So, but here's some tips on creating great characters. First of all, if they're not distinctive, if they're not somehow fresh and original, that's going to be harder. So in other words, if you do a superhero and it's no different from Superman or no different from Batman, then why should people pay attention to that character? What makes them specific? And often we can look at things in our own lives or things in our own experiences that we know about, where we can say, okay, I can base this on my family, I can base this on people I've worked with or things that I've done. And it doesn't have to be literal, but it can be metaphorical. It can be taking longing, for instance, or loneliness, or fear of death, or any of these things that we've experienced in real life, and transmuting it into our art. So in terms of characters, your character should ideally be the person with the most to lose, be the person who cares the most, the person who is after something that he really wants or needs. I tend to gravitate toward writing compassionate characters, where we like them because they're intelligent, they're compassionate, they're reaching out to others, they're not self-protective. My villains are self-protective. My villains lash out instead of reaching out, but that's, you know, and so for me those are stories that really work. Essentially, your main character, your characters should not be stupid unless it's a comedy, and if they're stupid, it has to be character specific, not just for the gag. And then beyond that, you know, think about the characters that you personally love. You know, if it's Mr. Spock or Sherlock Holmes or Ripley in Aliens. And let's talk about Ripley for a minute, because what she's about, she starts as someone very afraid, very traumatized, soul survivor, and ultimately she becomes essentially a mother and saves the little girl she comes to love more than life itself. And so it's a great character arc, and I think Aliens is a great example of creating very distinctive characters, because if you look at all those characters, you never get confused as to who's who. They're established with a very specific character beat or comment. It's a great job. It's a really great job. And but in terms of creating lasting characters, memorable characters, if they're witty, it helps. If they're skilled in something, if they're like the best at what they do, that can help a lot. I mean, Walter White in Breaking Bad is another great example of someone who's not necessarily the good guy, but he loves his family. He wants to be the best at what he does, and he ultimately becomes a monster, but still loves his family, still is connected to the people he cares about, and you know, and that's meaningful. We take that journey with him, and so again, with characters, you want characters to speak distinctively. If I can hear a character in my mind, I can write them. So don't write generic dialogue. Don't write dialogue that's on the nose, which means people saying exactly what they're doing or exactly what they just did or what they're going to do. Have people talk like people in real life, where they have specific ways of talking, specific ways of looking at the world. I base every character on a specific person, a specific actor or person from my life. And that helps enormously to not have characters talk alike. And often I'll create characters where they're the most perceptive, or they have something they do that basically disarms people, wins people over. For instance, a great example is when Michael Reeves and I wrote World Enough in Time, the Star Trek episode with George Takei, which you can watch here on Mr. Sci-Fi. And I created, Alana Sulu's daughter, who's marooned with him and finds herself on the Enterprise, where she's seeing all these characters she's only heard of. And the whole trick with her was she has her sole objective in any conversation is to get people to be honest with her, to open up their hearts. And that's what she does. She's like a can opener. And she has apps. She's utterly charming, utterly full of wonder, smart, beautiful, funny, wise. And so that makes her a terrific character. And we take that journey with her, and it really is enormously moving to many, many people. So that's some of it. There's other bits and pieces. You want to play fair with your audience generally, not trick them, not fool them into who your character is, unless it's really important to the plot, like in The Crying Game, where a character we think is a woman is actually a man. That's again, but also when you're working in film or TV, you get the wonderful added benefit of actors. And frequently writers will write with one actor in mind, but then have to change it if another actor is cast. But when it works well, the actor brings enormous amounts to it. Just think of Leonard Nimoy as Spock. Amazing, really wonderful. And also a great character, by the way, if you do it right, is often very versatile. So for instance, think about Sherlock Holmes and all the many actors who've played that character effectively and wonderfully. And so the main thing is, look at what I would suggest is just start looking at movies, TV shows, books, what characters speak to you, and start to really think about, why do I love this character? What makes this character interesting? For instance, Harry Potter, very interesting character because he's modest, but also wants to be a hero. He's the most powerful one. He's the one who's supposed to defeat Voldemort, but he was, of course, orphaned and left scarred. He starts as a kid who's very ill-treated and then rises to be heroic. So again, you can look at the history of literature, Oliver Twist, David Copperfield, those kind of characters who are treated badly as children and then rise to who they truly are meant to be. I think it's great to have a mixture. Like if you're creating an ensemble of characters, have them be different from each other, have them want different things. If you look at Star Trek, it's a great example of that. If you look at the original Star Trek, every character has a distinctive way of speaking. A Sulu line will not work for Scotty. A Spock line will not work for Bones. And then they did it again with Next Gen, where Picard and Data and Worf, all these different characters are very distinct from one another. You do not confuse them. And that makes it very good for the actors, and it also makes it very good for you as a writer in creating an ensemble. So this is so again, if you're casting them specifically with different ways of speaking, that can help a lot. And also the visual element of a character is very, very important. So either if you have a strong visual sense, that can help, but also you want to collaborate with your actors and with your designers, your costumers, etc. For instance, on Space Command and also on World Enough in Time, the great Ian McCaig is our designer. So he designed Darth Maul, Queen Amidala, the villain in Avengers Endgame, the Mark Ruffalo Hulk, Rocket Raccoon, all sorts of stuff. And so he's one of the giants. And so he comes at it, he says when he designs a costume, it's not clothing, it's biography. So he wants the costume to tell you who this person is. And I think that's very, very wise. So that's some of it. But we'll be talking more, we'll be posting more. So remember to pledge to our Kickstarter campaign. You can also subscribe to Mr. Sci-Fi. You can buy Space Command shares by calling me at 323-363-1259 or emailing me at markzicree@gmail.com. Lots to talk about. So I'll be posting a lot more videos, and have a great day. Bye, guys.